Guys, this is Kelly from Hills Deals and Wheels Mobile Home Investing course available on Vimeo, and we have a very special guest today. I actually met you online, not even how many hours ago, a couple of hours ago,
Two, maybe three. Yeah.
yeah, through a well, I don't know him either, but you contacted me, and I'm like, hey, let's do an interview. So we have Mr. Doyle Cook. Mr. Doyle, thank you so much for being on here. Can you introduce yourself to everybody?
I can. Thank you for having me. So I'm Doyle Cook. I am a fraud. I'm a full-time fraud fighter. I'm also a full-time mobile home park buyer. I co-own a mobile home park in South Dallas that I co-own with my buddy Ryan, and we bought it November of 21, so about 5 months ago.
Wow. Okay. And so, Doyle, you took a course concerning how to buy a mobile home park, or how did that work?
So that was a little bit of a process. So a few years ago, I was driving home from my regular full-time job, and I heard one of those announcements on the radio. Hey, it was the Rich Dad Poor Dad thing. Hey, come in here to the mall, the Galleria Mall in Dallas, and we'll
Hmm.
teach you how to invest like the Kiyosaki guy. And I'm like, all right, let me go
Right.
check that out. When you got there, they upsold me to this 3-day weekend real estate conference course for like $800. So I'm like, okay, I'll go check it out. Spent 3 days hearing what they had to say, and then they tried to upsell me to this $40,000 course, and I'm like, I'm out. Not paying 40. I'm not paying 40 grand. I don't have 40 grand. And but I liked the idea of real estate investing, so I ended up doing some searching. Went with another outfit out of Phoenix called Clever Investor, which really they took my money just to teach me how to wholesale real estate, and it took a lot of money to do it. And so I wholesaled real estate for a few years. And what that really entailed is I spent more time just building relationships with people, networking. And my wholesale operation was I had somebody pulling leads for me, skip tracing those leads, which is finding people's phone numbers. And then I had another company, virtual assistants, making about 40 hours a week of phone calls to these leads. And one of those phone calls, and after they would send me the leads, I'd call on some of them that looked promising. One of them happened to be an owner of this mobile home park. And he said, hey, these people call me all the time. Um, what's different about you? And I'm like, well, I can take you or I can leave you because I'm not in a desperate place to buy this park, but I'm really curious to hear your story. And then turned out he's got a military background and some other things that I was able to build rapport with him on. And to make a long story short, Ryan and I went out there, met him, and decided to buy his park, which was 10 acres, had a nice house on it with a pond. It had and that took up most of the acres. And there's this little acre lot that had 12 mobile homes on it. And so we just bought all of it together, and it turned into our first mobile home park investment.
Wow. Wow, that's impressive. So it had 12 mobile homes already there, but how many mobile homes could you put on there? Could you put an additional couple of mobile homes on there, or that was
Yeah.
it?
So our goal was we thought we were geniuses. We thought, we're going to buy this 10 acres and we're going to expand this thing and make it enormous and have like nice paved roads and streets and have like 50 or 60 more mobile homes.
Mm.
Dallas, with their zoning rules, won't let us have any more than I think 13. So
Wow.
they've limited what we're allowed to do. So kind of a disappointment in that sense, but we still got a mobile home park that's cash flowing. Um,
Mhm.
it's been a good investment.
Okay. So do you still have the one more empty spot or no?
Have one more empty spot. We have one that Michael Wisniewski has for sale in our lot, and then we have one more that I'm getting ready to make available. So it's about to have two available spots in there.
Mhm. So Doyle, do you guys own or finance those homes out, or you rent them out?
They are all park owned, so
Okay.
it would be owner financing. Goal would
Okay.
be, of course, just to take straight cash,
Mm.
but in some cases, that's just not going to work, and we know that.
Okay. And so, Doyle, how do you go about, the capital part of it? Because, a lot of new investors, even old investors, they have issues with the money part. How do you
Mhm.
get that type of capital? Do you get a bank loan, or what do? You pool your money together, or how does that work?
So Ryan had his own capital because he's been investing in fix and flips for a while. I ended up having to take money out of my retirement to help fund it, and
Mm-hmm.
that's what I did. So I borrowed from my retirement.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And so when you're creating these notes, do you create them yourself, or do you use a mortgage loan originator, or how does that work?
It's a good question. I have not created notes yet, but I
Okay.
do know of a mortgage loan originator in Rowlett that I will use once we get there.
Okay. Okay. And so what is your, like, 5, 10 years down the road? Are you gonna keep this mobile home? Because what I've been seeing, like, not mobile home park. I
Mhm.
see people just hold the park for a little bit and then they turn around and sell it for a serious profit. Is that your goal, or?
Nope. Our goal is to keep it. So we like this park. We like our community of people in there, and
Uh-huh.
it's a great place for us to learn this this mobile home space better.
Hmm.
We're going to keep it. We're going to keep it in cash flow from it.
Okay. And so in conjunction with this mobile home park that you guys own, do you still work, or that is your primary
I
source of income?
do. So I am a special investigator for the Department of Agriculture. So I
Okay.
investigate fraud, waste, and abuse, and that's 40 hours a week. And then, for example, today at lunchtime, I went out and looked at two mobile home parks within about 10 miles of me because I wanted to see if inside of those parks if they're waiting for sale signs.
Okay. So were you all concerned about the mobile home park being so small? Were you worried? Because people have been sending me articles
Mhm.
off of YouTube where these mom and pop type of mobile home parks get, like, closed down. They get bought out, by these big commercial people trying to build apartment complexes. Were you concerned with that, or that never crossed your mind? Or
Never crossed my mind.
okay. Do you have a game plan if something like that was to happen, or it's so
Well,
far out?
I don't see it being a problem. Like I have people nearly every day or a couple times a week asking me, "Do you have any more space? Can I bring my
Right.
mobile home in there? Do you have a mobile home available?" Because we're in a niche pocket of people who are kind of lower income and they need our help. So we're able to help them out, and I don't see that need going away.
Okay. And is that a septic system you guys have out there?
Nope, city water,
City,
city sewer.
so that's
Yep.
pretty good. Can I ask you how much you guys charge for, like, the lot rent?
It's very cheap. I think we charge 450 a month.
Oh, that's
That's
pretty
yeah,
reasonable.
a
That's
$450 deposit, and then 450 a month lot rent. I think we're going to go up to 500 in January.
mm-hmm,
But I mean, we know we could charge more, but our tenants in there, I just don't think that's fair. And I'm
mm-hmm,
a guy who cares a lot about being fair to people. Um,
mm-hmm,
and
mm-hmm.
so is Ryan. We're both
Right.
we care about the people that are in our community.
Right. So the lot rent is 450, and you have 10 possibility of getting 11 homes. That's a pretty chunk of
Yeah.
change. Then
Mhm.
you're on a financing, so you're going to get that mortgage as well, correct?
Right.
What would you say, like, the average mortgage is in that particular park?
Oh, so all the thing I like about the homes we do is they're all park owned or they're all tenant owned homes. So
Mm.
everyone in there they own their own homes. So
Oh, I got you.
I'm not messing with any mortgages. We're not messing with any mortgage. The only mortgage we have is on the property itself.
I got you. I got you.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were collecting the lot rent and the mortgage on all of. Oh,
Just lot rent.
just lot rent. So if
Uh-huh.
you were to pull in an 11th home, what would you do with that home? You try to collect both the lot rent and the mortgage, or no?
So, a couple of options are there is I could work with someone like you or one of your students who already has their home already set up. You guys
Mhm.
bring it in, we write up a contract between us, and you just give me the 450 deposit and the 450 a month, and I don't have to think about it,
Okay.
which is kind of cool.
Uh-huh.
And the other thing, I'm sorry, my My
That's
computer
okay.
noises here, so
Mhm.
turn that off. And the other thing is I'm going to buy a house that's going to be under 20,000 or so. I already have somebody who wants to buy one from me because she wants to live next to her niece, and she's
Okay.
already said we're willing to pay 30,000 or whatever for it. So I'm going to find something that once it's moved in, it's 20, and then I'm going to charge her whatever I choose to charge her, and she's going to pay cash for at least 15,000 cash, and we'll have to finance the remainder
Mm.
of what the
Mhm.
mortgage, and we'll essentially be the bank. So we will be the bank in that
Oh,
case.
okay. And so when you are the bank, do you require that the tenant has insurance? Are you going to keep insurance on the mobile home, or how's that going to work?
The tenant has to keep insurance on it, and we'll
Okay.
periodically check on them to make sure they're keeping their insurance up to keeping it paid.
And so what would be like, tell us what's your ideal park to invest in?
Ideal park is I like the smaller mom and pop parks. So
Mhm.
if I could find 100 more of them, I would buy all 100 of them. I really would. Ryan's got uh, some resources that would help us to buy them, but I like the smaller parks that are 40 lots and less. Because I think, yeah, you could have your big investors who will come in and they take it. But whereas if you have us and maybe some other people who invest with us, we're able to bring kind of more of a I really care about you thing about it. So the park, it matters. So we're not just some of these bigwig people. We're just normal guys who are buying parks and coming and helping people. But goal would be anywhere from a park that's got 5 lots on it up to 50. And I really don't think I want to go beyond 50 because it'd be a little harder to manage.
Right. And so what type of amenities does the current park that you have have any speed bumps, well lit, separate mailboxes,
So this park was in this
swimming
it was
pool?
it was in disarray when we took it over. So
Uh,
um, all the homes in it are older, so we've been slowly moving out some of the older homes, bringing in newer homes. The roads were just just potholes everywhere. So we brought in a lot of fresh gravel. Um, People, their gas lines were broken, water lines were broken. They didn't have individual electric meters. So we've been fixing up the infrastructure on it. And
okay.
that's been a process for us. And I kind of already forgot what your question was. What was your what was your
No,
question?
no, the amenities,
Oh yeah. So the
swimming pool. Yeah.
amenities
Hmm.
are is that we've gotten rid of some less than nice neighbors in there. So some of the tenants were a little not the most agreeable. So we've gotten them out.
Hmm.
And so we've made the park a lot nicer, friendlier place to be. But as far as like amenities and stuff, other than fixing it up and making it more friendly, more livable,
Okay.
um, the people have to buy the people have to pay for their own utilities like gas, cable, electric, those things.
Mm.
They're providing their own.
And so if somebody was interested in bringing a mobile home into your park, what type of mobile homes are you looking for? What year does it have to have a peak roof, metal on metal, shingle? What
So
does it have
I
to have?
I want to move the park homes up to the 90s or
Okay.
newer. Um,
Mhm.
I like the year 94 and up from there, just
Mhm.
because I think they're in better shape. Um, Skirting his so there's some people in there who don't have the skirting on them, and eventually we're going to get around to making everybody have skirting on their
Okay.
property, looking sharper. Um, but those are the biggies. So people come in and
Mhm.
make sure that their homes look good, they're
Mhm.
skirted, and they're 1994 newer.
Okay. All right. That sounds like a plan. So what about the taxes? How does that go? You pay for the taxes or
We
the
do.
tenant?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
do.
We
Okay.
pay the taxes.
Mm. What is the average taxes on like a one mobile home?
Oh, I couldn't tell you. Ryan handles that side of it. So we had to separate duties. Otherwise, as one person kind of doing things, you might not be able to
Mhm.
get to all of it. So his side of it is he handles the financial side of it, and I
Okay.
handle the people interaction side of it and the enforcement side of it. And,
Okay. All right. And so you said you had to get rid of some tenants in there. Is that like an eviction, or did they go willingly, or how did that go?
some went willingly, some not so willingly. So we ended up giving them money to buy their homes that weren't. We gave them more than what their homes were worth, so they would leave. Um,
Wow.
so in one case, we just wanted the guy gone, along with his son and daughter, and it just made more sense for us to pay for it outright,
Right.
which or pay more for the home than what it was worth, which we did.
Right. So sort of like cash for keys, huh?
Yep,
Like,
exactly,
here's the money,
exactly.
but give me
There's a
give
lot
me
of cash for keys in that one, but
wow. Wow. Okay, that's interesting. So what challenges have you had since you've owned this park?
I think I've actually had a lot of fun with in terms of owning this park. I like this space, and I didn't know that I like it so much. But some challenges are just that that one home I was just telling you about where we paid cash for keys. When I went into it because I wanted to
Uh-huh.
inspect it after they left, someone had gone into one of their either they did it or somebody came in after they did it and took a dump on the floor somewhere.
Oh, oh
And
man.
so it was gross. And there was a
Mhm.
lot of gross things in there. And when I went in, and I didn't know I was as easy to gag as I obviously am. So I walked into that back bedroom and it's just stuff everywhere. I walked in there and I'm like, what? That happened to me like 3 freaking times. And I couldn't stop. I was just like so grossed out by it. And I finally gave up. I'm like, we're gonna have to hire somebody to come here and just deep clean this thing because that's disgusting.
Mhm.
So that was a challenge for me, is just the level of gross things that you might encounter
Mhm.
inside mobile homes. Uh,
Mhm.
but other than that, everything else has been fairly agreeable. Hiring handymen has been a little bit of a challenge. Like
Oh boy.
finding
Yeah.
finding them is not so hard. Getting them to show up on time, or getting them to show up at all, or them rearranging their schedule 2 seconds before they're supposed to be there. That's probably been the biggest headache, is the handyman. Just finding good handymen that'll show up on time and will do the job they say they're supposed to do.
Mhm. Mhm. So Doyle, I know your park is predominantly owned, the mobile homes are owned by the tenant. But let's
Yeah.
just say you were going to buy a mobile home park and you were going to own the mobile home. Would you want, and a tenant already lived in there, would you want access to the inside of that mobile home before you purchased it?
Hmm. It's a good question, and one that so I'm going to be owning the mobile homes, right? Is what you're
Right.
saying?
Right. And the tenant is already living in there. You're trying to own the park in the mobile home. The tenant is already living there. Would you want access to that home before you purchased it?
I think I would, because I'd want somebody to come in and do a little inspection on the home for me to make sure I'm getting value for what I'm buying. So
Right.
the person selling it to me would have to make arrangements with those people before I even come in, so we can have inspectors come in and take a look around.
Right. Because one of the parks my brother and I invested in, even though this home is a 1983, the
Mhm.
entire park is full of older model mobile homes, but they put new siding on it.
Oh, nice.
So
Okay.
and it perked it up a little bit, but you could still
Mhm.
tell that, it's older, but
Mhm.
I was
Those
just
are
curious. 'Cause I heard a story of somebody who just like bought an entire park and he didn't realize that once he got inside, all it was just full of crap. All those mobile homes weren't even worth anything. Somebody had just came and put some siding on everything. So those are the
yeah.
things I worry about.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Yeah.
hire an inspector to have them go through with me, or I'll find somebody like you that I'll make friends with and say, "Hey, want to tag along?" And maybe we'll do
Yeah.
work together, and you give me your
Yeah.
input because you're bringing in years of experience. Why wouldn't I benefit from that?
Right. Right. And so what about a park manager? Do you have one of those?
Yeah,
You can
so we do. The way
Mhm.
so I told you we have 12 mobile homes on there. What I didn't tell you is there's also a house.
Yeah, you
Um,
told me it was a house there too.
okay, so there's
Uh-huh.
a house there. I give one of the people who lived in that mobile home park for pretty much his whole life. And this is a many decades old mobile home park. He lived there, and so he moved out of one of the mobile homes, moved into the home, and we cut him a deal in terms of what he pays for rent for the home in order to kind of manage things for us. So he's on site looking at things, and just a superhuman, just a super good guy, and his wife. They're managing it for us.
Okay. All right. And so when you do start owner financing the mobile homes out, what would be like the criteria you looking for? Credit score wise, years on the job, W-2s, felonies, animals, stuff like that.
So
What would
something
you be
like
looking
that.
for?
So I would definitely pay attention to the credit score because I want to see if there's any indicators like red flags. I'm going to look at have they been evicted before from other places? That happened. Somebody tried to get into my park and they played it all innocent. And when I ran their report, there was an recent eviction in their history. And so I told them, hey, I'm not going to let you in here. And they're like, well, hey, I got this letter I can send you showing. And so they gave me this letter, and it was all doctored up with the name of the apartment complex they lived in, and even had a person's name and a phone number. And I'm like, well, I'm an investigator by trade, been doing this for years. So I pick up the phone and make a phone call. Lady answers, hi, how's it going? Like, just like you and me just having a conversation. That there was a red flag one for me.
Right.
Like, why would you not say the name of the apartment complex and then identify yourself? The next thing is she didn't know what she was talking about, or there was just something in what she said that didn't resonate well with me. And I'm like, that just does not sound right. And I thanked her for her time. I went to Google, found the name of the apartment community, and I called them. And this lady that I spoke to before said she was the property manager. I'm like, who's your property manager? They gave me another person's name. And I'm like, have you ever heard of so-and-so? Nope, never heard of them. Don't know who they are. And so this person tried to get in my park by lying. So I'm going to do some due diligence on eviction history. I'm going to check that out. Other things we check for, like I said, credit scores, jobs. I don't really so much focus on how long they've been at a job, but that they've been employed. And I use TransUnion to do the background checks for me, so it does a pretty good check of things. And it gives me their details, like their criminal histories, some of their employment history. Does their income? Do they make enough income to pay for their property? So those are things that I'm looking at.
Okay. And me and my brother actually ran into a situation where somebody was trying to sublease our mobile home out.
Ooh.
And they gave us the money, they gave us the deposit, and then they went over to the park 10 days later and bought in somebody else's applications. He said, well, I'm subleasing this out to them. And he didn't know that we were friends with the manager, and she told us. So it was crazy. We kept his money. He got mad. We had to file a police report against him. It was just crazy. What are your thoughts on subleasing? If you are aware that they're subleasing, is that going to be an issue?
Nope. So long as the person that subleases it fills out a contract, fills out the TransUnion, the background check, so I can make sure, because I don't want to have a bad person in there. So that doing my due diligence saved me one of the homes that was in our park was pretty bad shape, and this one guy moved out once we took over because we're like, some people hadn't been paying rent for years, some were paying like small amounts, some were paying big rents. We made everybody a flat rate, and once we did that, this guy moved out, and this neighbor tried to move in like 3 of his buddies or 3 people that he liked, and I'm like, that's not going to fly. You guys are going to fill out my background check thing, and I'm going to look at it. And I did, and they all failed tremendously. Like nothing came back right. And I'm like, you're out. And fortunately for me is this may sound bad, but my hair and my eyes scares people. So sometimes you go out and people are like, oh my God, here you got this mean looking white guy with blue eyes, and they get intimidated, and it's dumb, but I use it to my advantage because I know think that way. And
Uh,
so I just went over and said, "You guys are out of here," and they were gone the next day.
well, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
And so, Doyle, how do you go about finding mobile homes to bring to your park? Is there a method?
There is a method, couple different things. So I use Facebook Marketplace a lot to find stuff. I use bandit signs. Um, I use Craigslist, word of
Mm-hmm.
mouth, and
Mm,
so far those have been serving me well.
mm. Okay. And so right now, like you said, you have 11 mobile homes. I keep saying 10. You have 11 mobile homes and then one empty pad, right?
2 empty pads.
Two
So
empty pads.
remember that the one I told you where I paid cash for keys? So
Right.
he had his normal home there, and then he had this little tiny 500 square foot home, like practically right on top. They're like almost touching each other. And so I've
Mm-hmm.
now got this little tiny 500 square foot handyman special that I'm giving away to a church in Farmersville, and
Okay.
they're gonna come pick it up. Once they move that one out, then I'm gonna have an additional space right there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so, Doyle, how do you? First of all, are you licensed to buy and sell mobile homes in the state of Texas?
Just submitted my licensing application yesterday or 2 days
Okay.
ago,
Okay.
and,
But
and
it's
I,
not necessary. It's not necessary, or is it?
not unnecessary unless, well, Texas has got some rules, right? Like you can only sell, what is it, 1 or 2 mobile homes in a year under your name, and
Okay.
otherwise you need to be licensed. So I just
Mhm.
submitted my licensing, and so far the work we've done has been under Ryan's name and under Michael, who's Wozniewski. He's bought some stuff and brought it in, so
Mhm.
still safe on my side of it. But I like to enforce rules. That means I kind of got to follow them too. So
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
just I submitted all my paperwork yesterday for the RBI.
And so in the mobile home business, we don't really have to worry about inspectors unless the tenant calls the inspector on
Mhm.
you. But when you own the whole park, is that any different? Do
As far as I
inspectors
know,
come on a regular basis or what?
as far as I know, I mean they can. And I'm sure
Mhm.
TDHCA could send me something, and I'm okay with them doing that. I mean, I don't care. Let them
Mhm.
come, let them look around because I think they're there to provide a service to me anyway. So they'll just tell me, hey, you need to fix this.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. And so, is there a special license besides that? Because I'm also licensed. I have an
Mhm.
RBI license. Do you
Mhm.
have to have an additional license to run the park, or is no
Nope.
additional license?
No additional
Okay.
licenses.
And then people don't believe me when I tell them the test is open book. It was
It's one of
open
the
book, correct?
easiest tests I've ever taken.
Mm-hmm.
It's
And
very,
you got to get the surety bond and
yep,
the LLC, which I'm sure you already had,
yep. I already had
and
it,
right,
and you're done.
and
Well,
you're
it's
done.
expensive though. So
Yeah, exactly. It's very
the
expensive.
surety bond, what that cost me? The $50,000 surety bond cost me $1,000 annually, and then
Mm-hmm.
the $1,250 annual fee to get the license.
Right.
So, I mean, I guess overall that's not expensive when you think about, you just sell one mobile home, you got your money back. But
Exactly. Exactly.
yeah,
So have you done a lot of wholesaling mobile homes? Because I know you were talking about real
we
estate.
just did one about 2 weeks ago. Michael Wozniewski and I had done
Mm-hmm.
one a couple weeks back.
Mm-hmm. Can you
And
walk us through that deal real quick or?
I can. So that one, someone had seen one of my bandit signs, reached out to me and said, hey, can you come look at my home? And I'm like, sure. So I drove however far the home was. She had a mobile home that it was a double wide, hadn't been lived in for about 5 or 6 months. There was some urine in one of the rooms, a very strong urine smell in one of the
Uh-huh.
rooms, which was kind of bad. Stuff was outdated in terms of like it needs a new kitchen and walls need to be painted. A lot of cosmetic stuff needed to be done. And the home was a little older. It was like a 1985, maybe double wide.
Mm-hmm.
And we put it under contract. We told her we'd give her 8,000 for the home. She asked 10. We gave her 8. And we ended up like the very next day, somebody wanted to give us 20 for it. And so we took the 20 and called it a good day.
Okay, Doyle, you was freezing up a little bit. So you got it for 8
Got it for
and
8,
under contract, and then you sold it
flipped
for
it for
20,000.
20. Flipped it for 20.
Wow. And how many days time frame was that?
One.
Wow.
It was like a day. Within a day,
Wow.
we had the buyer, but then kind of getting all the paperwork, the moving, all that stuff done. It was more like a week before everything was completed. But you can knock something out in a day to a week and
Wow.
do well in
Wow.
this industry.
Well, so would you say that you're totally done with the real estate side of it, or you still, or what made you even want to look at the mobile home side of it? You seem like you were doing pretty good on the single family home.
Um, Kind of got tired of doing a single family stuff because there's so many people calling homeowners and bugging them. And by the time I would get on the phone with them, they were already mad as they could
Right.
be. They were just upset. And so I got tired of hearing people just growling at me,
Mm-hmm.
being mad at me. And I decided I'm done with this just because I didn't want to I didn't want to be harassing them because they're already being called by 100 wholesalers a day. And this space is just a better space.
Right. Well, would you say the real estate single family home is like more saturated than the
It's
mobile home?
extremely saturated, way more saturated than mobile homes. I think people don't realize that there's just a huge opportunity inside of mobile homes, inside of
Mm-hmm.
investing in mobile homes, investing in mobile home parks. It's a huge opportunity here that people often overlook.
Mm. Okay. And so you mentioned you wouldn't mind JVing with students. Is there a criteria that you're looking for when you JV with the student? I know you already have a criteria for that empty spot that you have,
Yep.
but
So for JVing, I have to get to know you, I have to like you, and I have to trust you. Those
okay,
are no like and trust are kind of things that I live by.
okay,
So I don't care if you're going to bring a lot of money to it. If I don't like you, I'm not working with you. If I don't trust you, you can guarantee I won't even talk to you uh, for that matter. But liking, knowing, trusting somebody, probably the biggest part to me. And then being fair. So one of my first JV deals, because the person had so much more experience, even though I did most of the work in the marketing, the talking, the building the relationship, they
mm,
gave me a 70-30 split. And
mm,
I think that was just rude. And
mm-hmm,
I won't do that to somebody else. Even like you
mm,
have a new person coming in and they're doing all that work and I'm just bringing in the buyer side of it. I'm going to pretty
right,
much right out the gate do a 50-50 with them.
mm-hmm,
Because I think they need to help. I mean, because they're getting into this to make money and they
mm-hmm,
probably paid someone to get an education on it. I think it's kind of my duty to help them out,
right.
especially if they're good people. So I want to do right by them.
Mhm. So Doyle, have you ever done like any virtual deals where the mobile home is in a whole nother state altogether, or
I
you
have
know?
not. No.
I tell people all the time, what do I need to do that for? I mean, Texas has plenty of mobile homes. I don't need
Mhm.
to venture out, you know.
Yep.
So
Yeah, I
yeah.
haven't tried it yet. Although I'm watching John Fedro's training on it, and
Uh-huh.
John's got a lot of really good points and
Mm,
factors to consider. Like you just said, there's enough here. I don't really feel like I need to venture yet. Um,
right.
so I'm not
Right.
going to.
Right. So Doyle, a personal question. Do you have any children by chance?
Yeah, I'm
Are
the
they interested in the business, or they're not interested in the business?
oldest son is actually in his finishing up his third year of college up at University of Oklahoma,
Okay.
and he already thinks that I'm going to hire him to come work with me as soon as he gets done with school.
Mm,
So he's already thinking he's going to get to work
right.
with or for me when he
Right.
finishes up.
Because I tell people this information that we're like you and I are getting, and you pass this down to your kids. I mean, your kids can be sitting on a gold mine. I tell people
Yep.
that all the time.
Yep.
And I had a Doyle, I had a friend that was in the hospital for knee surgery, and the doctor came in to discharge her, and he's like, "Oh, you're my last patient ever." And we're like, "What?" Because he was only in his 40s. We were
Yeah.
like, what? He was an orthopedic surgeon. And we were like, what? He was like, yeah, my dad owns several mobile home parks and he's going to give me one. So I'm through with being a doctor. We were just looking at him like, because
Wow.
he didn't know we were in the mobile home business. I'm like, man,
Wow. Well,
that's
think about it
crazy.
though. And it makes sense. Let's say you bought 3 mobile home parks, you got 80 pads on them. Well, let's say they're going for 400 a month each. You, you just made 32 grand a month minus whatever your net operating expenses are. Um,
Hmm.
it's very lucrative
Hmm.
to do what we're doing.
Right. So, Doyle, I'm glad you brought up this point. So, in the beginning, my mindset is, what's wrong with me owning 20 mobile homes inside other people's parks,
Mm-hmm.
scattered around, not putting all my eggs in one basket, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm collecting that same dollar amount. And I don't have to worry about if a tree falls in the park. I don't have to worry about electricity shuts down throughout the park, the water break, the main breaks in the park. I don't
Mm-hmm.
have to worry about that. Am I wrong in thinking that way?
I don't think so. I think
Mhm.
we've all kind of got our own um, thresholds that we measure stuff by. I don't think so
Mhm.
at all. I mean, if that's what
Right.
makes you comfortable,
Right.
hallelujah. I think that's awesome. So that's where
Yeah.
that's a space that's comfortable for you. Then
Right.
great. And
I mean,
I'd like to do
mhm,
what you're doing. I
uh-huh.
like the idea of owning mobile homes in different parks. Um,
Right.
haven't gotten there yet.
Right. Right. Yeah, I always, even when I first started out, I'm like, and then people used to buy these very, very inexpensive homes that nobody wants.
Hmm.
Then you spend all these months trying to get it together. The crazy handyman don't show up. You're paying all this lot rent, electricity, or water. When
Hmm.
you can put a little bit more money towards it, buy a
Hmm.
nicer mobile home, and get that puppy rented out quick.
Yeah.
That has always been my mindset, and I'm thinking, well, I must be thinking wrong because nobody else is saying what I'm saying. So I
I
was
was
like,
thinking that this morning. It's funny you said that because I was thinking the same thing. Because the teaching is you buy the cheapest thing you can. You make a relationship with a park owner who will let you bring in your home. You fix it there. But I was thinking the same thing. I would be paying park rent until the thing's fixed. I'm going to be finding a handyman to fix it. I don't want to do all that. I'd much rather just spend because how much money are you spending on the handyman to fix it? What, 5 grand?
right,
Let's say 5 grand.
right,
The lot rent, let's say you're at 500 a month and it takes you 4 months to get in, and there's another 2 grand. So you spent 7,000 just right there. Why not
right.
spend that extra 7,000 or 10,000, whatever, into a nicer home? I was thinking that it's
Yeah.
funny you said that because I was thinking that earlier today. I'm like, I'd much rather have a nicer home than I don't have to do anything on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cause I started off in Trailer Cash Academy. That's the first course that I took, and I'm like, "Am I wrong?" So finally, I was like, "I'm just gonna do my own thing because I'm not gonna be sitting around here waiting for a handyman and
Mm-hmm.
pay." And then you got to think about transferring the title and the taxes and stuff. That starts getting expensive.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that was my mindset. So, Doug, do you have any words of encouragement for somebody trying to get in this business, a newbie?
Yeah, I have several. The biggest one, and I'm looking at it right here. Sometimes you're just going to get discouraged, right? So you're going to go out there, and you're like, yeah, I'm trying to do this. I'm following all the rules. It should work, and it doesn't. I think you have to keep a thought in your head that you do have to hustle inside of this space, and you also have to. And I'm going to read it to you. I will do today what others won't, so I can live tomorrow like others can't. Um,
That's powerful.
that's some good stuff. So I've got a little board right here, and I look at that on a regular basis when I'm starting to like, I don't want to do this. So I'll do today what others won't, so I can live tomorrow like others can't. That works for me. So
That is powerful.
yeah,
I love that. Who wrote that? Is that you or?
I did not write it because I'm not that
Oh,
smart.
I
I'm
was
sure
about
I'm
to
sure I took that from somebody
say,
at some point.
wow, that is powerful. That is powerful. So, Doyle, I don't want to, take up too much of your time. How can somebody contact you, if they're interested in doing a joint venture or, helping
Sure.
you find a mobile home to, get on that lot that you have? How do they contact
There's
you?
2 ways they can call me, and I'm friendly and I like talking. So feel free to just pick up a phone. My phone number is 469 745 8023. The other number, or another way to reach me, is by email, and that's my first initial D, last name Cook at thatmobilehomeguy.net.
Wow. Okay. All right. Thanks again, Doyle Cook, for coming on here. Doyle Cook, Mobile Home Park
Mm-hmm.
owner. I appreciate you coming on here. And Doyle, hold on one second. If we get disconnected, I'll definitely be calling you back on Facebook. But hold on one second. Thank you so much, Doyle, for coming on here.
Thanks for having me.